I will do Jalen Hurts the respect of ranking him number one after guiding a team to the Super Bowl championship, especially with Dak Prescott coming off another injury. I think Dak is a better pure quarterback than
He
Jalen
needs
Hurts,
some
but I
milk.
will give Jalen Hurts the respect of putting him on top of that right now.
Bring it up because Jalen Hurts, I don't feel like he's getting the respect he deserves. It feels like the guy just won the Super Bowl. He won the MVP. He was killing it from the pocket. He's got the most unstoppable play in the NFL right now, and he's still not getting respect. I don't get it. Why is he not considered a top 5 quarterback? Okay, and there was, I believe, the Saints game early. He was turnover prone. I remember betting
the
that
offense was a disaster through the first 5 weeks of the season.
How much of that is they have a different offensive coordinator every year?
Yeah,
But wait, there's more.
I personally would not put him in my top 5.
Oh,
I wouldn't, but I have him in the top 10. He's somewhere in that range.
So I guess the narrative on the internet is, will they have a stacked roster similar to the Brock Purdy dislike? Well, he's got some McCaffrey and he's got this loaded team. And I think some of it has to do, Dave, with the fact that they weren't first-round picks. Like Joe Burrow does not get dinged for having the best wide receiver duo in the league. Patrick Mahomes has an elite elite coach and a top 5 tight end all time, right? They don't get dinged for that. Lamar gets Derrick Henry.
First round plot armor is definitely a thing.
It's weird.
First round picks get plot armor.
What does that mean?
People will work to find reasons why it's not your fault if you were drafted in a certain range. And guys who don't have that pedigree, I think, have to fight a little bit harder. And Jalen Hurts, that has been true. And he's had plenty of critics, plenty of people criticize his ability as a passer, his consistency, his accuracy. But again, he won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's all that should matter.
I've been defending Jalen Hurts for several years now. Even when he first came in, I was telling people to give him a chance. Let's see what he can do. But the interesting point in this conversation is that not being a first-round pick is held against you as a quarterback. So if you have weapons as a quarterback, like Jalen Hurts does, people are like, oh, well, that's why he's playing good. He has good receivers. He has a good running back, So, like, for example, Jalen Hurts, it's bad that he has a good team around him. But when Patrick Mahomes has a good team around him, when Joe Burrow has good wide receivers around him, and he also had a pretty damn good running back in Mixon for several years. Okay, but that's never held against him. Baltimore, Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson is nobody's ever go, he has Derrick Henry, who is one of the best running backs we've seen. So the bottom line is, yes, that's true. If a quarterback is not a first round pick, people hold on to their bias. And if he is a first round pick, they still hold on to their biasness, And because there was that stigma on Jalen Hurts coming out of college that he wasn't going to be a franchise quarterback in the NFL, a starting quarterback in the NFL, and he definitely wasn't going to be a Super Bowl winning quarterback in the NFL, people don't want to let that go. And because the other factor is that so many people around the NFL who watch it and are in the NFL, when they look at a quarterback, they rate that quarterback 80% of what that quarterback's rated on is his passing ability. And Jalen Hurts, because he had that stigma that he wasn't a good passer, and he definitely needed work when he came out, but he got better every year. But people don't want to let that go. They want to hold him to that little box they had him in. And only when he only comes out of that when he forces the box open by having an MVP caliber season like he did in 2022, when he plays balls out in 2022 Super Bowl. People have to give him some credit. They have to. And then now winning the Super Bowl in 2024 season, and people still don't want to rate him in the top 5. That's why I've been saying He's going to have to win more than one Super Bowl before people have to put him in that box. Maybe even 2 more Super Bowls. And then people are going to say, yeah, okay, he is. And you can't use the Saquon Barkley argument to me because we've seen him ball out in the Super Bowl in 2022. So, what should only matter? Now, this is another good example of what should matter to people. The biggest factor should be winning the Super Bowl. Can your quarterback win the Super Bowl? Clearly, I've seen it twice now that Jalen Hurts can. He can win the Super Bowl. And his passing ability is just fine. I mean, watch the dimes in both Super Bowls that he's dropped. Dimes that other quarterbacks who are supposedly better passers, they wouldn't make those passes. They wouldn't drop the pass right in Devontae Smith's arm or AJ Smith's arm, 4th down. I mean, it's not going to happen. He does it in high pressure situations, drops dimes. And so anyone who's going to talk about passing, I look at his passing stats in the Super Bowls. What else matters? You guys are holding on to, he was the 30th ranked passing offense in the regular season. Who gives a shit? It's the regular season. You're winning by running the ball. You don't have to pass. You're not behind in games. You don't have to pass. You're up every game. You just run the ball. Is he the perfect passer? No. Sometimes there's issues, sure. But when it matters, in the biggest moments, the guy's as good of a passer as anybody in the league. Just look at him in the Super Bowls. He's as good as anybody. And then, people just want to ignore the ability to run, what that actually means to a quarterback. The ability to take off and run. That is huge. It was huge in the Super Bowl. Big downs. Jalen Hurts, they bring on the all-out blitz. Just boom, takes off and runs. He had great pocket presence, and he just ran. And then the QB sneaks, the tush push. And here's the other thing. The tush push is a quarterback sneak. So if you hate the tush push, you hate the quarterback sneak. The guys pushing from behind, they barely even make a difference, to be honest with you. Watch most of the tush pushes. He's got the first down before they even get to his back. He's just strong, he's powerful, and they have the best offensive line we've seen since the 92 Cowboys. That's the bottom line. But Jalen Hurts' ability as a dual threat quarterback is what makes him so great. He can pass. I don't care what anyone says. He can pass as good as a quarterback needs to pass to win Super Bowls. That's it. That's all that matters. But he can also run. And some of these quarterbacks that some people have ahead of him, they can't run like Jalen Hurts. They can't. Some can, but some can't. And that's why he's so special. He can do both. And then he's got that clutch gene. And to me, I'm telling you, as a football fan, to me, I always look at the clutch gene for quarterbacks. If you're a clutch quarterback and you could play clutch in the biggest moment, that makes you amazing. That makes you a quarterback that can win Super Bowls. And that, to me, if your quarterback don't have the clutch gene, I don't care how good he is. For example, Lamar Jackson. Okay, I like Lamar. I love watching him play. But if he don't actually play better in the playoffs, who's going to remember him? Who's going to remember him as a great quarterback? So to me, you got to win Super Bowls. You got to play. Look, I was a big fan of Peyton Manning, but he stunk in the playoffs. Every time that guy got in the playoffs, he stunk. And back then, everybody said he was better than Tom Brady. But I always argued, no, I'll take Tom Brady because Tom Brady's clutch. And Tom Brady's not the most talented guy we've ever seen. He's just not. And even after Tom Brady won his first Super Bowl, nobody even thought he was great. Everybody thought it was like a Nick Foles type season, just a fluke. And then he won his second. And that's when he started to get the respect he deserved after the second. But they still didn't put him above Peyton Manning, of course, until he's won maybe the third Super Bowl, maybe the fourth Super Bowl. In fact, I think it stopped after the fourth Super Bowl. People stopped. They just said, okay, he's a good after 4. But that's the way it is. Anyway, the bottom line is Jalen Hurts is a great quarterback. He can do everything. You need a quarterback to do. You need him to run, he's going to run. You need him to pass, he's going to pass. His players around him, they all respect him. That's that. He's a top 5 quarterback. Swallow your pride, people who don't think so, and admit you are wrong, because he's got Super Bowl trophies and MVPs to prove it wrong. And he's going to win another. That's all I got today, guys. Talk to you next time.
Because that's the bottom line. Because Stone Cold said so.